Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are unpacking a really fascinating and honestly deeply challenging philosophical framework written by Su Feng in August 2025. It's called The Eight Pillars of the Civilized Being, and it basically forces us to ask one fundamental question: what truly defines a civilized existence? We throw that word around a lot, but this source material completely strips away all our modern assumptions, our tech, our sprawling cities, and builds a comprehensive eight-trait blueprint for existing in harmony with the universe. The text opens with this rather haunting, poetic observation of the human condition. It reads, "The world teems with people, shoulder to shoulder, rushing toward their goals. They toil all their lives only to drop back into the wheel of reincarnation." It's an incredibly vivid description of the ultimate modern rat race. The source material points out that humanity acts like it's on this endless, exhausting treadmill, completely ignoring the guidance of the ages, only to hit disaster and then have to start all over again. Okay, let's dive into this. According to the text, how do we actually break free from this tragic cycle of endless toil? Well, the answer provided is civilization. But scratch your current definition of that. Forget skyscrapers and fast Wi-Fi. In this framework, true civilization is defined as the absolute only way to preserve life and avoid countless disasters. It's viewed as a pure state of spiritual and social alignment. To make sense of it all, we're going to look at Su Feng's 8 pillars using a concentric circles approach. First, the macro, our alignment with the cosmos. Second, the micro, our internal mind. And finally, the social, how we interact with the earth and others. Section 1, the macro, cosmos, and fate. So the first 2 pillars of this framework establish a really deep sense of spiritual humility. They basically outline our proper place within the sheer vastness of the universe. We've got pillar 1, acknowledging the master, and pillar 2, the mandate of heaven. But what does that actually look like in practice? Now, what's really interesting about this is the striking metaphor the text uses. It argues that a civilized being acknowledges only the greatest creator as their ultimate master. If you treat another human like an emperor, a boss, or even a father as your ultimate master, you're literally reversing the natural order. The source material puts it bluntly. It says a human and a dog swap places. It's a powerful, provocative call to recognize that all humans are creations on totally equal footing. And that brings us to pillar 2, following only the mandate of heaven. The text asserts that all things, your birth, your daily food, whether you live a long life or die early, they all move by a fixed number. According to this philosophy, all our modern anxieties, our greed, and our vain desires are exactly what cut our lives short. To defy this fixed number is pure delusion. But if you shed that greed, the text promises you're going to live at ease. It says even someone living in a humble hut can possess the serene air of a celestial being just by accepting their lot. Moving right along to section 2, the micro, self and mind. Now that we've mapped out our place in the cosmos, we're zooming inward. We're going to look at 3 specific pillars that demand a radical shift in personal detachment. It's about totally changing how we view our identity, our circumstances, and our stuff. Pillar 3 is beautifully captured in this quote: "Be at peace with what comes, without haste. Transform with each bond, without clinging." This is all about profound presence. A civilized being settles with ease and acts only as the moment calls for it. You choose to treasure the light of today rather than rushing frantically towards some imagined future. Shifting to pillar 4, the text makes a highly provocative observation about our identity. It argues that clinging to your family or your nation is essentially a trap. Drawing arbitrary lines around yourself through extreme nationalism or rigid family bonds, that's considered pure folly here. Instead, the civilized being frees themselves up to be a true citizen of the universe. The Earth is but a speck of dust. How much smaller than our home and country, dust within dust. Just let the scale of that metaphor linger for a second. The universe literally has no end. And because a civilized being looks far and wide across this vast expanse, they see everyone among the stars as kin, completely transcending human borders and bloodlines. So the crucial point is, how does this detachment extend to our physical world? Well, Pillar 6 takes a direct swing at modern materialism. The rule is brutally clear. All ownership brings suffering. The more stuff you hoard, the more you suffer worrying about it. The civilized trait is to give without owning. The framework asserts that when all people give and no one claims to own, heaven exists right here on Earth. Let's pan out for our final part, Section 3, the social, Earth and others. Our final three pillars dictate the social covenant of the civilized being. It's all about how we treat nature, how we maintain order, and how we respect human diversity. Pillar 5 is this incredibly enthusiastic call to revere life and nature. I mean, look at the beautiful interconnected web the text highlights. Rivers, mountains, the blue sky, lightning, right down to the literal smallest worm. All of these are threads in a great web that nourishes us. The text points out that wanton killing is a boundless sin because life belongs to the Creator. But cherishing life, that brings endless blessings. And this brilliantly illustrates Pillar 7, which brings us right down to the practicalities of human society. How does a civilized being actually build unity? It's right here in these direct equations. Upholding the law guards our freedom, keeping our covenants keeps our order, and honoring our trust builds harmony. It's upon these simple, grounded social contracts that the unity of all under heaven actually rests. Finally, we have Pillar 8, leaving a path for all to live. The source text uses these wonderful natural parallels here. Just as the sky has wind and snow, just as roads curve and wind, and just as flowers naturally bloom in red, blue, and yellow, people are inherently diverse. We're tall, short, fat, and thin. The text commands the civilized being to never demand sameness. We literally cannot force uniformity. True civilization requires us to respect each person's unique choice and let everyone follow their own joy. So, we've explored the macro, the micro, and the social. We've seen these 8 traits that define how we should relate to the cosmos, our possessions, and to each other. I want you to reflect on everything you've just absorbed. After all of this, what fundamentally separates the civilized from the barbarian? Sui Feng concludes with this stark binary. Whoever shows these 8 traits is truly civilized. The opposite of civilization is barbarism. It leaves us with a really profound and provocative question, doesn't it? Looking closely at our own lives, our material attachments, and our social contracts. Which side of this philosophical line are we currently living on? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning, and I'll see you next time.